Okay, so we had some requests for Schnauzer, the pattern. This is actually he's a pet trim, so it's not going to be like a full leg, full coat Schnauzer pattern, but this is something really nice to put on your everyday pet trims for Schnauzer, something that looks really nice. Still looks like a Schnauzer. And is practical and will last, 6 to 8 weeks for a regular client haircut. So before I start on him, just know that Cooper is a little bit of a special needs dog. Every once in a while he will turn around and scream at me, which is why I have him double tied here so that I am safe and he can't bite me. I am going to move him back a little bit so he's not pulling on it so tight. But just know that if he does scream and spin around on me, he's not in pain. He just does that because he is a Schnauzer. So I'm taking a 5 on him. He gets a little bit of a longer pet trim. He is a little bit on the thinner, more lean, fit side. So I leave a little bit longer so that it doesn't make him look so skinny and his hips and ribs stick out. So for a Schnauzer pattern, a lot of people do not know that these dogs do not technically have a skirt. They have an underline. So when you're doing the underline, you're going to blend it. It is not a line. Your clippers should never go this way on a Schnauzer, a cobbler, or anything else that gets any type of pattern, skirt, or underline. You're always going to follow the direction of the coat growth. I'm going to take this really tight on his shoulder and use the widest part of that shoulder to blend down with my clippers. It's going to save me with my scissor work later. So also when you're coming down the rib cage, you want to use the widest part of the ribs and then glide it straight down. That's what's going to create that underline and a blend. You should not see a line here. And again, he dips in a little bit here because he is on the more, he's a more lean, more fit dog. So what I do is I take the widest part here and I just kind of blend it down and I hand scissor this area to make it look more full. I'm going to move this back here so that you can see the back leg and how I do that. So we start up at the top here. I'm going to round this around the back here because exposing this back leg muscle is the goal of this Schnauzer pattern. So instead of making a line this way, I'm not going to take my clippers that way because this is going to be a nice blended pet cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to blend it straight down, still tight on this back thigh muscle, okay? And I'm just blending it down. So you can still see the line for this is still right here, but it is not a sharp line. I'm not taking my clippers and digging it in there to create a line. I want this nice and blended. Like that. And then I will hand scissor the rest. Okay, so we're going to go up to the face. In order to set the line up for the face, I'm going to take my 5. I'm going to come straight in here, follow the direction of the coat growth. I'm going to actually reverse it in here on the cheek. I'm not scooping this or blending it. I'm actually kind of pinching it here so that I create that line for the face. And that line goes from the corner of the eye down to here. Okay, so there's actually a point under the chin that you're going to aim for. And then I'll scissor the rest. So I'm going to take this down Now for these cropped ears, that give everyone like a miniature heart attack every time you clip them, I'll show you what I normally do for those as well. On the front here, on this chest, after I do this side, quit Amos. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to take this in here, a little bit of reverse. So normally I'll take this quite a bit shorter, but like I said, he gets a little more of a full pet trim. So you can do this with a 7. I don't go shorter than a 7 on Schnauzers. It can really affect the regrowth of the coat if you go too short. Okay, so now once I have that set up, I'm going to hook him back up here, and then I'll show you the chest. So the chest is, you're going to have a little bit of a triangle here, so I'm going to kind of shape that triangle on the chest, but I'm blending down. So I'm taking that widest part and I'm blending down so that when you look at it from the side, a Schnauzer's chest goes like this, and it is straight down. So even though I'm leaving this point here, this chest goes straight down, because when you look at it from the side, once we scissor it all, this blends straight into this underline here. Now I'm going to shave these ears. So this used to scare me a lot, but I use the little clippers. I use it on the second to last setting. The shorter the blade that you use, the shorter the teeth are, the less likely they are to grab skin. So it is a lot safer to go shorter on your blades. If you have a small pair of clippers, I prefer using those. They don't get as hot, and they're not going to grab that skin like a 10 would on a regular clipper. So I just kind of try to flatten it as much as I can. If you flatten out the skin flaps, and always go with the direction of the hair and against the ear edge. And then I'll do the underside here as well as I can. Pull it all out. I try to flatten the ear as much as possible so that I'm not grabbing any flaps or anything hanging out. And I do as much as I can with my clippers so that when I come back in with my scissors, it's as clean as it can possibly be. And then I'm not risking nicking with the scissors. Okay. Normally on most dogs, I scissor my legs and body first. But for some reason on Schnauzers, I always like to start on the face. I don't know if it's like a satisfying thing or just to get it out of the way or what. But the goal is a rectangle head. So when I come here to scissor, I'm going to start on the side of the cheeks here. I'm going to actually angle this way so you can see. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to start and go straight down. And I'll do that before I do the eyebrow. And then I'll come over here and do the same thing on this side. And maybe you can see. There we go. All right. go back in and do the eyebrows. So I'm going to comb everything this way for the eyebrows. My angle that I'm aiming for here is, we're going to start here at the center of the nose, and we're going to aim for the corner of the eye. Okay, and then we can really kind of tighten this up here and sharpen it like that. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so you can see that that really clears out the eye. They can see, you can see the eye from the front and the side. All right, so then what I'm going to do is, now again, he's a pet trim, so the beard is a little shorter, but what we'll do here is comb this. Maui. And then, because it's a rectangle head and that's the goal, I'm just going to take everything that sticks out of the rectangle and just kind of thin it down. And then I'm going to angle this jawline underneath where we set up our line under here. And I'm going to follow that line. We're just going to angle it to the beard down here. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Good boy. That's it. And see how you can see all the hair that's left underneath of there, and that's what we're going to aim to take off. And this is still leaving a nice full beard. We're just angling it down. And you can take your thinners in. I will take my thinners in here and just kind of soften up all the edges when we're done. And then we'll scissor and neaten up the edges of these ears here. Okay. For these legs, I'm going to comb everything down first. Pick up the back leg, scissor everything that hangs off of this bottom here. Again, this is a pet trim, so it's a little more on the practical side. We're not leaving these legs as full as like a breed standard show trim. I'm going to take off everything that hangs off past these toenails and then round them around. And since he has such fine hair, I do like using my thinners to finish these legs, so I'm going to comb everything up. And let's see, I might try to turn him around so that you can see back here. Yes, so we do have her down for 10 o'clock. Good job. Let's see if you can see. Okay, so now you can see the back. This is where, so I took my clippers in tight here to expose that muscle. I'm going to finish these with thinning shears because his hair is so fine. I'm going to start from the outside. And I'm going to make a straight line from the top to bottom. And then I'm going to go on the inside, straight line from top to bottom. over here. And then blend it all in. I'm going to come from a straight line down from this tuck up here. And then I'm going to start from the knee and then go and aim down to the toes here. And then this underline here. So we're going to start here in this little tuck up area behind the last rib, and then I'm going to aim for the elbow here with this underline. This underline should not be any longer than this elbow. His is a little tighter, so it'll be a little above the elbow, but just barely. And then I'm going to take my thinners back in here, and I'm just going to re-go in and soften that line into the underline. Comb down on the front foot. Are you out of bows already? Yeah. I got red and Jingle Bells. So I scissor everything that comes past the paw pads, and then on these front feet, since they kind of poke out, they're a little pointy by his toes. And in order to not get pointy toes, I'm going to take off what's in front of his toenails first. Jeez. Right in my face. Here we go. Take off what's in front of the toenails first. There's barely any there. So if you take off too much, it's really going to expose those toenails and take too much off. So on these, with the pointy toes and with the straight hair, I'm going to comb everything to this side. And then I'm going to round it. And then I'm going to comb everything to the other side. Gently. I have to move really slow with him because he's really sensitive. So once I comb everything to that side, around that, just like that, and then I'll comb it up. Bye. Okay. Oh, you know what? What? I'm not. Why? Why? So see how I am? Like he's very sensitive on his front legs. Oh. So I lift up his back end a little bit just to make him put weight on these front legs so I can comb them without him turning and screaming. Okay, now I'm going to try to get him to stand square, which is a little challenging for him, just as a dog. But in order to get these toes really scissored free, he's got to stand square, or as square as you can. So if you just kind of rearrange them gently, slowly. Okay. Amen. Stop. Okay. Now I'm going to take this straight down the outside, and I'm going to try not to pinch this in. I'm just going to go straight down from the widest part of the shoulder. I'll do the outside, then I'll do the inside, straight down from the armpit, and then I'll work my way around. I'm going to start here. I don't want that to dip in too much, and then I'll come back here. So you want this to come, this, the hair behind the elbow comes no further than the shoulder. And then I'm going to kind of just work my way around the leg once I set up that line. Okay. I'll work my way around the front here. Making sure that I'm just working around the horizon of the leg and moving my body around to get a nice full round leg. Okay, so that is the finished side on a pet trim Schnauzer. Okay, I'll finish the other side, and then I'll take some pictures. If anybody has any other questions on the underline, on the eyebrows, on the ears, on the legs, just let me know, and I would be happy to take another video or on another dog. Cooper, he has a really nice coat. He just takes a special person to groom him and work him through the process. So that is it. I'm going to do the other side, and I'll post some pictures.